Hey Defenders, welcome back. In this video, we are going to cover how to configure the API user that CoPilot is going to use to log into our Wazuh Indexer. So within CoPilot, if I go to the connectors page here, you'll see that our Wazuh Indexer is of course not verified. And if I update this guy, we are just stuck with the default configuration that was in our .env file that we covered in the installation video of CoPilot. So let's change that. Let's verify that our CoPilot application can indeed connect to our Wazuh Indexer. So to do that, we will need to, of course, create a user on the Wazuh Indexer that CoPilot is going to use within the Wazuh Indexer. Now, you could use the default of admin. CoPilot, as of now, doesn't need all the roles that the admin user has within the Wazuh Indexer. So instead of just going with the admin username, I would recommend creating a separate user account that CoPilot is going to use, and we can then associate the required privileges that CoPilot needs to successfully interact with the Wazuh Indexer. So I've logged into my Wazuh Indexer here, and I am first going to go into security, and we are first going to create a role. So I'm going to go ahead and select create role. I'll just call this guy CoPilot, and then I will need to first set our cluster permission. So I'm going to say indices all, I'm going to say Kibana all read, I'm going to say read, and then I'm going to say cluster monitor. And then I'm going to scroll down to index permissions, and I'm going to go ahead and do a wildcard. So this will specify that we want these permissions to apply to all of our indexes that are within our Wazuh Indexer. And then for index permissions, I'm going to say read, I'm going to say index, and then I'm going to say indices all. So we've got our cluster permission set, we've got our index permission set, and then I'm going to go ahead and select create. And now let's go ahead and go back into security. I'm going to go into internal users. And here I'm going to create our CoPilot user. So I'll just give the username a password. I'll just do a password of please subscribe. I'm going to leave the backend roles in the attributes to just blank right now. So all I'm going to configure is the username and the password. I'll go ahead and select create, and now our CoPilot username is created. Now, the last thing that we need to do is tie this user to the appropriate role. So I'm going to go back into role. I'm going to select the CoPilot role that I just created. I'm going to go into mapped users. I'm going to go ahead and select this map users, select my dropdown, and here we will have our CoPilot user available for selection. I'll go ahead and select map, and then we are done. So we got our CoPilot user connected. Now let's verify and configure our Wazuh Indexer connector appropriately. So first off, let's kind of walk through the connector URL. So we have my Wazuh Indexer is listening on HTTPS, and that is on port 9200. Now this is the default for the Wazuh Indexer. You could, of course, change your port if you have some specific configuration where your Wazuh Indexer is listening on a different port, but 9200 is the default, and that is what I am using as well. Now, I am also going to replace the IP address of 1.1.1.1. This could either be a IP address or a host name. Do make sure, though, that your CoPilot, that the server that the CoPilot application is running on can, of course, resolve your host name if you use a host name, or you can go directly to the IP address. I am then going to set the username as CoPilot, and then I am going to input our password here of please subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and select save. And now upon saving, CoPilot will also attempt to verify with the indexer. So it's good. Now, if I go back to the overview page, we'll now start to get some data in. So yes, we still get errors because we're pulling data from Graylog and Influx, which those connector configurations will come in future videos. But now we have successfully integrated CoPilot with the Wazuh Indexer with our new created CoPilot user. And one way to verify that is, of course, to make sure that the verified flag gets set. And then if we go into the overview, we see data start to get loaded in. So that wraps it up for today's video. In the next video, we will cover how to connect CoPilot with the Wazuh Manager. And I appreciate you guys' time, and I will see you in the next one.